All the way from Paris, France, we start with Miss Anggun. Anggun would like to share her wishes on how to make the music industry inclusive for everyone. Anggun, the floor is yours.
Anggun, I am Indonesian, Javanese descent, and currently living in Paris since a few decades now. And I'm a singer-songwriter, TV personality as well. And I'm here to talk about a few things. The first one is about inclusivity and fairness in music industry and what it means to me. So to be honest, I think it's only normal that there is a fair and inclusivity in music, in the sense that we as musicians, we need transparency from actors or from other from partners like streaming platforms, like YouTube, like record labels, because this is our livelihood. And I know that since now like 8 to 10 years, music industry has changed, has evolved. Now it's more about streaming frenzy, and there's not enough transparency in there, and what not only just transparency, but what we earn as musicians is very little, considering that now the market for CD, for physical market is quasi inexistent. So it's really hard for musicians to still make a decent living only by the selling or the streaming of our albums. So sometimes it's either you are in the top 10 of, you know, monster superstars like Beyonce, the Adele of the world, and then all the rest, we're just sharing crumbs. So I really think that we need more fairness. It's only fair for us as musicians and as artists to get our fair cut into this. Like, for example, the example that I like to use is really with YouTube, where they use our content, and they have an agreement with ads, with sponsors, but we as artists, we do not have access to that, to the agreements that they have between each other, but they use our content. So and I can tell, like, for example, countries like Germany, for example, it's just barely, it's very difficult to hear musicians or songs from German artists on YouTube, because simply the countries, they block it, they protect their artists. So that's good for the artists, but that is not good for the public, for the fans. So of course the only solution is we need to find something, we need to find some kind of bridge between content creators, between artists and these platforms, so that everyone can find their fair share, their fair cut. So that's point number one. And point number two is my thought about young people who have potential, but so far didn't get the spotlight. I think today it's quite easy. I mean, it's easier compared to my time before, where, you know, there wasn't any social network, and now you can just post your singing or your songs. You post a video on your Instagram, and then if it's good, and some you know, if you have that kind of network, and then it can go viral. And so there are so many things. And then of course there are TV shows like The Voice, like X Factor, like Got Talent franchise. There are ways to actually showcase your talent here and there. But a lot of I mean, most of young people that I have met, maybe one of their mistakes is really they want to go to the step where they get very famous instantly. And I think that is the one of the biggest no, because if you being famous is one thing, but doing something beautiful, doing something that is meaningful and actually creative and make people something that can make people something that is inspiring for people that should be the goal for me. So being have been a judge and mentor for shows like The Voice or X Factor, and every time I always say to the kids or the singers that, you know, one of the things that we are trying to give you here is the stepping stone. And after the show, this is probably a beginning of something beautiful, but it's up to you. It's really up to you what you want to do with your life. So with your musical life. So I think at first they need to know what they're good at, and they should work super hard on it and trying to be unique, I guess, because there are new artists every day. There are new albums coming out and being released every single day, and so you have to make your spot. But for that, I believe that there are markets for absolutely everyone. You just make something from your heart and believe in it. And then my last point that I'd like to talk about is the message that I'd like to send out to the tri-sectors, so that music industry can be fair and inclusive for everyone, is really, if the pandemic is any indication, I have never seen so much live shows that was being offered on social network, on Instagram, on Facebook, you know, people just sharing music, because there's so much demand. There's so much, this was when, that was the time where people all of a sudden, because there's silent, there's nothing happening. And then we miss music. All of a sudden people realize that art, culture, music is so important. You know, Friedrich Nietzsche used to say that without music, life would be a mistake. And I do believe in that. I think that a society without culture is a dead society, is wrong. So, and for that, of course, we need to protect our artists. We need not just solidarity between musicians or artists, but we need a helping hand from the government, from people, from politicians, people on top position. We need to make some kind of law so that artists can continue to do their music, to create, and because this is their livelihood. Again, as I say on my first point, this is very, very important, that an artist should be able to work and should be able to get their fair share, their fair share. Yes, and for that we need the government to help us. So thank you for this time. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Anggun. Merci beaucoup. Very interesting intervention, and share your experience with us.